Welcome to the third lecture in the series of creativity. Let us see a quick recap. We have seen that creativity has three components: novelty, value, and unusualness. That means to be creative, you have to create something which was not there, you have to create it afresh. Second thing which you should have is that it should have a value. There should be some importance to it. Something which is usual, which is unnecessary, which is not required, those kind of things suppose you create, then we do not say that you have been creative. The third important concept in being creative is to be unusual, and this is unusual which is the most difficult part and which is most significant part in the concept of creativity. Now, if you want to be unusual, then first we have to understand what is usual and what is routine. Once we understand what is usual and what is routine, then we can think of ways to be unusual, to be creative by escaping from that routine things. We have seen in the last lecture that there are a number of misconceptions about the creativity. One misconception is that it cannot be created, it cannot be taught, that the creativity comes from rebels, that the artists are the best people to teach to be creative or to teach the creativity. We have seen in the last lecture that there are sources of creativity. Creativity comes from innocence, it comes from experience, it comes from what we called as the tuned judgment, it comes from chance, mistakes and things like that. We also seen the importance of release as a source of creativity. We have also seen the importance of style, and also we lastly saw that there is a concept called lateral thinking, which we can teach by using certain tools and techniques. And we are now going to take you further into the teaching of creativity by considering various tools which may be available in order to be creative. I will tell you in a nutshell what creativity is all about. It is a summary, and with all summary, since we are not going into details, so certain things will be left out. What are the creative tools in a nutshell? First of all, we are going to see what are the various ways, various modes of thinking. These modes means that you can be in one of these 6 modes of thinking. You can change your mode just as you change the mode of an operation of a camera or a TV or something like that. You change from one mode to another mode. Similarly, you can change yourself, your mode of thinking in various ways. So, when we are thinking about being creative, we have to think in terms of 6 modes of learning, modes of thinking, and these modes we will talk in terms of hats. Assume that you have 6 hats or 6 colors in which the hats come, and when we are in a specific mode, we will use a specific color of hat. So, these modes are information. Sometimes you are seeking information that tell me about this specific situation. Tell me about the rate of unemployment in my country. Tell me about the rate of dropping out of the students in this state, things like that. So, these are information, these are without bias, these are objective information. Second hat we are going to talk about is management hat. You are managing, you are saying that this is what I am going to think first, then I will think this, then I will think that, then I will think that, and things like that. So, you are managing, you are using a specific kind of hat, you are managing the information, managing the process, managing the flow of information. Then there is a thinking mode which is called as the gut feeling, that I do not want to give you explanation, but this is my gut feeling, this is what I feel it is. I cannot explain you, I cannot prove you, but this is my feeling that these are the state of the things. You may be thinking in that particular mode. So, that mode of thinking is called gut feeling. We have a specific color, we are going to talk about it in a later part. Then there is a mode which is called as optimism, that there are certain areas in which new opportunities may be there. When you are exploring those areas, you are being optimist. So, that is a mode of thinking. Optimism is a mode of thinking. Another mode of thinking is being creative, that means think in unusual manner, think out of box. So, you may tune yourself into that particular mode where you are thinking out of the box. Then there is another mode which is called as the mode of caution, that we do not want to do this, being negative, put censorship on yourself. So, that mode of thinking is called caution. So, various 6 modes of thinking are there. If you want to be creative, you must know how to think in these specific ways of thinking. Then we are going to learn about pause. You cannot be creative in normal ways of working. Suppose you are in a system, in a society, in a organization where you have lot of work to do. Since you are doing lots of work, you do not have time, you are doing whatever is being told to you, and you are doing things in a specific manner. In that case, you will not be able to creative. You will not be creative. To be creative, you have to pause, you have to stop. Then only you will be able to notice certain things around you. Suppose you are going through a forest. If you have something urgent to do, you will not have time to look around yourself. You will not have time or energy or emotions to think, to look around yourself. You will be just walking through the forest. To be creative, first step is to pause, to think in a casual manner, in a specific manner, look around yourself, look for the inspirations. So, that is when, and that is how you can be creative. So, one of the technique is called pause, creative pause, and it is to get inspired. Then there is a technique which is called as focus. Focus means to concentrate. Lots of things are happening around you. At the same time, your all senses are giving lots of information to you, and it is said that it is your choice to be sad, to be happy, to be whatever. It may be your decision based on the same stimuli. You can be happy, you can be sad, or whatever. It depends on what you are giving importance to. So many things are coming to you. To focus is to give importance to the specific inputs, to concentrate. Focus also means that how to be creative in a specific domain by giving specific amplification to specific incomes, to inputs. For example, suppose you wish to be creative, or suppose you have a problem to solve, then you get information and then you focus on certain areas. Those areas may be areas of improvement, that I wish to have improvement in these areas. So, you are having specific focus on specific domains of information. Lastly, there are more techniques we are going to see, but a specific technique I wish to concentrate on this specific slide is that of provocation and movement, because we will be coming across these things in a number of ways, and unless you understand the meaning of provocation and movement, you will not be able to understand what is being discussed. We wish to be creative. In order to be creative, we have to break the routine. In order to be creative, we have to be unusual. So, in order to be unusual, we have to see, we have to note what is usual. Once you have noted what is usual, what we take for granted, then you negate it. You say, no, this is not correct, this is the thing. For example, we know that all the cars have tires or wheels, and we know that all wheels are circular or round in shape. Now, this we take it for granted. For years together, since civilization, all the wheels have been circular or round in nature. Now, this is we take it for granted. Now, suppose I wish to be creative in this aspect, I have chosen as the focus this aspect of the thing, then I will say that wheels are not round in nature, wheels are not circular. But then the question will be, if they are not circular, what is the shape? Then it gives me to further provocation. This is called provocation, something which is not true, something which may not work, something which may be unusual. But in order to be unusual, in order to be creative, this is a temporary phase which we are considering, which we are thinking about. So, we are thinking about a situation where wheels in a car are not circular. Now, the question is, if they are not circular, what is their shape? Maybe you will say that their shapes is square. Now, then comes the movement. If you design a car which has square shape wheels, most likely the car is not going to work properly, the car will not be satisfactory, nobody is going to buy that car. So, what is the use of being creative? We have become unusual, but this does not have value. So, in order to attach value, in order to be more useful, we have to do another technique which is called as the movement. We are going to discuss all these things in details later on, but just in order to give a snapshot, what the movement is, that from wheel not being round, we have moved to the wheel being square. Now, we are going to use the technique of movement in a specific way. And what is going to happen if the wheels were squarish in the nature? Suppose we design a car, suppose we design a vehicle in which the wheels have square shapes. What is going to happen? It will be very difficult to move these wheels. Even if you move these wheels, what will happen is that the ride will not be smooth. Whenever you ride, it will go up and down, it will be a jerky ride. If you have smooth round wheel, then the ride is smooth. Now, you can have a number of inspiration coming from this area. One could be, what would happen if the road is itself bumpy, if the road itself is not smooth, and your vehicle is also not smooth. Even on the smooth surface, this vehicle was not working smoothly. Now, you have bumpy surface where there are ups and downs. What is going to happen? Either it will be more bumpy or it will be less bumpy. It will depend on whether this squarish shape fits into the pits and troughs or not. Whether there are ups and downs, these ups and downs, suppose they match somehow, probably the ride would be smooth. So, this has given you an idea about a vehicle in future in which may have been designed for a terrain in which things are very bumpy, and you want to make the movement very smooth for some application. So, if there is a bumpy road, then there may be a camera which will pick the bumpiness, the profile of the road, and it will accordingly adjust the wheel. The shape of the wheel will not be round, it will be certain, it may be some sort of a curve, and the nature of the curve will depend on the smoothness of the surface. If the surface is perfectly smooth, this will be circular, but if it is bumpy, it will have its profile adjusted in such a way that your movement would be smooth. So, you have created a new idea, you have created, you have invented one vehicle which will move in a smooth manner no matter how bumpy the road may be. So, this is a showcase, this is a demo of how creativity works. So, the nature of provocation, that means something very unusual. The more unusual you are, the more creative you may be, but then you have to do some exercises on movement, so that the new idea is a useful one. Then we do the finishing, just as we have seen that from square wheel we have got inspiration about a bumpy road, and bumpy road leading us to a smooth ride with a curvature, and that curvature is the finishing touch to our innovation. So, this is how we can do innovation. Now, what can happen is, suppose you have a number of provocations. Not all of the provocations may be useful or may have been used, but certain more provocations may have been there in reserve. You have used some provocation. For example, in this specific case we have used the provocation that the wheels are not square or not circular, but there may be certain more ideas which might have come to you, but it may not be serving the specific purpose which you have in your mind in the present assignment. So, it is something like harvesting. Suppose you have 1 acre of land, and suppose you have put so many seeds, all kinds of seeds into this thing. Now, some of the seeds might have grown and they might have given you the value of your money, but some more seeds may be there, they may be still growing, and you may use it further on in your later expedition. So, you can harvest the ideas. So, harvesting is the harvesting of the ideas. Some ideas which you will be using for your immediate requirement, some of the idea you will keep it in the store, just like you keep the seeds in your store for next season. Similarly, for the next seasons of your creative session, you may use some of these ideas as a ready-made ideas. These ideas, I think there are some potential for these are the ideas which may be useful in future. So, those ideas you can harvest, you can store in your repository, and you can use it in a later half. So, this is basically what the course is all about. Just as we had seen in our earlier part of the team building, that we had some habits and things like that. So, you had a very clear idea about what is going to happen. Here I wish you to have a very clear idea about what is going to be there in this specific course of lectures. So, I have given you a brief fast forward into our further lectures. In this specific lecture, what I am going to do is, I am going to tell you about certain things, and then we will be moving to the specific tools. Before we move to the specific tools, let us, some remaining ideas are there which we should understand and we should appreciate in order to appreciate the importance of creativity. So, one of these ideas is the comparison between design and analysis. What is design? Design is to think in terms of how to make things work, and analysis is to break problems into small parts and then to think about those things and then to analyze it, that means draw meanings out of whatever is presented to you. Analysis is a part of problem solving. How it is a part of the problem solving is that, suppose you have a problem, what you do is you find out what are the various causes for that particular problem, and then once you know that these are the problems, these are the things which are causing the problem, what you do is you find out the ways and means to nullify those problems, and that gives you the solution. So, when you find the ways and means to remove the causes, what you are doing is you are designing, and once you have designed something, you assemble those things, you have created things in your mind, it is your first creation, it is your plan, your blueprint, and then you execute, and then you lead to a solution state which is a more favorable problem free situation. So, design is a method to remove the causes. Sometimes the cause is not known, and sometimes the causes cannot be removed using the regular techniques. So, If that is the case, then probably your whatever methods you have been taught may not be useful. In that case, probably you need to be more creative. Let us further understand what is design in the specific context, in the normal context in which we study the things. For example, suppose I have studied electronics. I may be given a problem like this, that to design a radio receiver for frequency 10 megahertz to 20 megahertz, and the budget is to 200 rupees. So, within 200 rupees budget, you have to do this thing. You have to find all the ways and means, all the equipment necessary, all the components which you can get, all the circuitry which you can find, which will give you the result. So, with the existing knowledge, when we design, it tells us what are the components which are going to be used, how the components are going to be arranged in the circuitry, how the circuit is going to work, why the circuit is going to work, and what would be the various specifications, what transistor is going to be used, what resistor is going to be used, what capacitance would be used, what will be its value, and things like that. So, once we do this, we have designed a radio receiver. But sometimes the problems are not so straightforward. In that case, we have to be creative. Now, the comparison between analysis and design is something like a comparison between science and technology. Analysis is like science. Analysis is to think about whatever is present to you, whatever is being given to you. You do not have to create things, things are already created and they are in front of you. You have to find meaning out of it. This is what the science is all about. What the science does is, it looks around the nature around it and it tries to find meaning of whatever natural phenomena are taking place. And design is to create. Design is like technology. That means, you know the various effects, you know the various laws, and how to club these laws, how to arrange these laws, how to sequence these laws or sequence the various phenomena, so that whatever you want to achieve is achieved. So, analysis seeks truth from the existing things. As I said, from the nature which exists, various phenomena which exist, you try to find out why it is happening that way. Suppose you see a boiling water, suppose you see milk being boiled. There is a difference between boiling water and milk which you are trying to boil. In that case, in one case there is a, it just boils like that, and another case there is a cream which forms, and then something like that, it goes and it looks different. Why does it look different? This is a question which you ask yourself, why that creams form on milk and why it does not form on water? Why no substance forms on the water, whereas some solid substance forms on the milk, and then when the milk boils, this is lifted up. Why that thing does not happen in case of water? So, this is something which you have asked yourself. So, things were already in present, were there, it is present, you do not create it, it is already created, and you are asking yourself some questions to make the meaning out of it. This is the analysis part. Design is to create something or create some relations which are not there. When you design, for example, in our previous example, when we were trying to design a radio receiver did not exist. We were sequencing things, we were planning things, we were using a circuit which would make a radio receiver. So, design is to create a relationship which did not exist. Now, what happens in science is that we are seeking truth, and truth is unique, truth is one. There cannot be two truths or multiple number of truths. For example, either earth is spherical or round, or it is not round. You cannot have a multiple truths, that in for some person earth is rectangular in shape, some other person it is flat, some third person it is round, some fourth person it is hexagonal, or things like that. So, truth is one. Your perception may be different, You might have perceived it in a different manner. You may be right or you may not be right, but the basic ultimate truth is one, and we asymptotically approach it. We slowly and slowly, steadily and steadily, we keep on approaching it. So, this is the crux of the philosophy of science. Whereas, in design, you can have multiple solutions. We did not design Earth, Earth was already designed, but suppose in future, thousands of years from now, suppose we were to design a planet, then we can design a planetary system in which the Earth may be rectangular, it may be squarish, it may be something like that. So, in design you have the liberty to have multiple solutions, whereas in science, since you are only finding the meaning, it may be unique. In science, we use creativity in order to formulate the hypothesis. So, in that sense, hypotheses are multiple. For example, some person might hypothesized that Earth is round, some other person might hypothesize that it is flat, some third person might hypothesize it should be a fourth or third some other shape. But these are hypotheses, only one of the hypotheses is going to survive the test of time. So, we use the creativity in science in order to formulate the various hypotheses. When we talked, when in our earlier series of lectures, when we were talking about thinking win-win, it is a creative idea in terms of creative reflection, creative in terms of the conflict resolution. We always think conflicts as a game between two people, one person wins, other person loses. So, this is the routine, this is what we take for granted, that either India has won and the other country which played a match against us lost. It can be, there can be, at the most there could be a tie, but in most of the cases either you lose or you win. But when we developed the idea of thinking win-win, we had broken the routine, and this was a very creative idea in the conflict resolution. Where can we be creative? What are the areas in which we can be creative? We can be creative in the areas of innovation, in the area of improvement. Think is already there. You already have a solution, not that you cannot do without it. Some things are there, but how to make it better? Suppose some product is there, some lubricant is there which is used in a vehicle. How to make its property better so that it serves the purpose better? So, area of improvement are areas in which you can be creative. You can think about new ideas in the routine manner, or you can think in out of box manner and to find a improvised version of a design. You can be creative in problem solving, that the solution is not there, we have stuck up and we are trying to find the solution using the usual manner and we have not been successful. So, we need to have a creative solution. So, we can be, another area of being creative is the area of problem solving. Then there are areas in values and opportunities. We can think about what are the various opportunities which may be available. Suppose some new innovation has taken place. Now, what are the various areas in which we can apply ourselves? We can apply these innovation. Suppose something I have understood. Now, what are the various areas in which people have not applied this concept? Let me apply it in this particular manner, in this particular area, and see whether it works. So, we can be creative in finding the values and opportunities. We can be creative in consideration of future. When we are creative, we are creating things, and we are creating things in our mind. We can create things in our mind about the future also, that certain things are going to take place, certain things may be possible, and if these things become possibility, how it is going to affect the future, how it is going to open up the new areas, new opportunities in which we can be, it can be very fruitful. So, thinking about the future is also, consideration of the future is also an area of future. I might have told you some days back that when you worry, it is also a creative exercise, in the sense that you are creating the future, you are creating about certain things, you are visualizing the things, and those things are totally logical, they are plausible things, but worry is a negative form of creativity. It does not help you, it leads you to a undesired state. So, that is also a consideration for future. Another area is motivation, that you can be motivated, you can keep on applying the techniques of creativity, then you will always be looking at new areas in which I can be creative. When it becomes a habit, so creativity may become your habit, it may become your way of looking at the life, that what is the meaning of it, how is it going to help me. Suppose you keep on building that kind of a habit, that habit is going to change the way you live your life. Now, I come to the tools part. So, as I said, one of our first tools is the thinking hats. We can be creative in a number of manners. We can be creative in an individual capacity, or we can be creative in a group. Suppose we have a groups, or suppose we have a number of people and we are trying to solve a problem. We are using creativity in order to solve a problem about which both of us know. Now, normal way of group work, or one way of group work is called group discussion, in which some person floats an idea, other person opposes it, and this way you keep on arguing. That exercise is good for science, or it is good for analysis, but it is not good for creativity. Here what we are trying to do is we will be thinking in the same line. Okay? Whatever position I am taking, you also take the same position. This would be our way of working in a group when we are using the group activities as a exercise for creativity. So, what we are going to do is, both of us, all the people will be working in the same mode, and it is going to enhance the value. Now, when we are saying that we will be working on the same mode, then everybody should understand what are the modes, and here there should be some indication as to how we are going to work, how we are going to think, in what lines we are going to think, and these are explained, or these are denoted by the colors of hats. Assume that two people are engaged in a creative activity and they are wearing, let us say, white hat. So, both are working, both are wearing physically hats which are white in nature, or you can have a play card in which you write white, that means you understand that this person is wearing white hat. Just merely wearing white hat does not change your mind, you have to think, you have to consciously think that you are trying to think in a hat which imposes you to think in a specific manner. Now, what are the various colors? White is the color of neutrality. White is, it is totally neutral color, it is totally white. So, it welcomes all the color, it is a combination of all the colors. So, this white hat means that you are seeking information. When we think white, that means we are asking for information. Suppose I am asking for information and I am getting information, then it is in a totally objective manner, then both of us are wearing the white hat. That means we are not in conflict, we are working together. My knowledge, my expertise, my skill, and your knowledge and your skill is going to complement one another, and that is how we are going to advance ourselves. Second hat, it is not in that logical order, I am just giving this in a random kind of a order. Another hat is colored red. Red is the color of blood, it is the color of heart, it is the color of emotion, it is the color of instinct. So, this is the color of gut feeling, that I do not want to, I will not be giving you the reasons why I am thinking this way, but this is my feeling that this is what is happening. I have just observed, I cannot give you the reasons, but this is my basic feeling that customers are not happy with my organization. Why? Do not ask me why, I will not be informing you. That if you ask questions like why and other things, then you are changing the color of your hat. You may be analytical, you may be informative or things like that. Here it is just the gut feeling which we are expressing. So, the group may be wearing red hat, that means all the people will be talking in gut feelings, and since all of the feeling persons are moving in the same pathway, nobody is conflicting, nobody is putting his leg into another person's walking, therefore, they are progressing in a specific manner, all their synergies, all their energies are in the same direction and they are complementing one another. Black hat is that of caution. Suppose we arrived at a solution that this is what we should do in order to improve our organization, then we may be wearing black hat and then we may be censoring ourselves. If this is what I find is the solution, then I will wear a black hat and I will analyze my own solution and I will try to criticize it in a negative manner. Black is the color of negativism, it is the color of caution, it is the color which says do not do this. Why you do not do this? You have to think in that particular manner. Why we should not have this solution? You have to think in this manner when we wear the black hat. Similarly, one more hat is that of yellow. Yellow is the color of youth, it is the color which symbolizes the youth, which is optimist, but it is also logical. Just as in black we were logical, but we were negative, here it is optimism with some logic. What are the various opportunities which may be there? What are the areas in which we can improve? What are the opportunities which are going to exist? How we are going to benefit? These are the ways of thinking when we wear the yellow hat. Then we have a green hat. Green is the color of crop. Green is the color of the various things which we have, it is forest, things like that, which is creative. It is the nature. When it is creative, it becomes, we have, during the rainy season we see the nature at its best in creative terms. So, that is the hat of creativity. We have to think out of the box. So, everybody will be wearing green hat at a specific time and they will be thinking creative. So, everybody is thinking creative, nobody is laughing at one another's creative and out of the box things, and therefore, they will be complementing, they will be putting their best. Last we are going to talk is the hat of blue color, and that is the hat of management. We are managing, we are sequencing, we are setting up the agenda. This is what I am going to do, this is what I want to achieve, this is my target, things like that. Now, at one time we may be wearing one kind of hat. This is the systematic use of these hats. During the group discussion also we can do this strategy of wearing a specific hat and then sequencing our strategies, or we can do it in intrapersonal, that means within yourself. Suppose you are alone and you are trying to find a solution, what is the way in which we want to find solution? We will be, I may be as a single person, I may be wearing one hat one at a time, and in thinking in that particular manner, after some point I will stop and I will say, now enough with this hat, I want to now use this color's hat. The idea is that everybody is in the same sync, everybody is synced in a specific manner. So, nobody misunderstands one another. because you are criticizing because it is the time for criticism. You are not criticizing me, you are criticizing the idea, and therefore, and I am also criticizing my own ideas. So, we do not put ourselves into contradictions, we work in the team spirit in the proper manner. Now, how we should be sequencing? The most likely we may be beginning with the blue hat. Suppose some problem is there and we want to find the solution to that problem, we may be beginning with a blue hat. Blue hat says that we are managing. That means I have stated the problem and I will be managing. So, how am I going to manage this particular problem? Is maybe I will, in the beginning I will say that, and everybody will understand in the blue hat mannerism, that we would be, first of all, we would be getting after the blue hat, we will set out our agenda, our mechanism, our sequences and our targets, and when the meeting is going to stop and things like that. And once this is over, then I will be working on the red hat. That means I will be using my gut feeling. I will be inviting everybody's gut feeling, regarding the problem. Once the gut feeling is over, maybe I will go for, let us say, white hat. I will ask for information, and then probably we will go for yellow hat, ask for the opportunism. Then we may go for green hat, then we may go for black hat, and then finally, suppose things are all right, maybe once even after the black hat everything is proper, probably we may again sequence ourselves through the red and other colors, and once it is over, again we may at the end we may conclude with the blue hat again as summarizing what has transpired, what has happened, what we have resolved, what are the various benefits of the specific solution. We summarize it and we close, we conclude the meeting. So, we may begin with the blue hat and conclude with the blue hat, and in the middle, depending on the problems, we can change the hats, and everybody will be thinking in sync with one another. Other tool which we are going to talk is the tool of creative pause. What happens is, we are good at, our brain is good at analyzing patterns and creating patterns. We analyze patterns, whatever comes very often, repeatedly is useful. We have seen this earlier. Those patterns we call it by name. These names we call as the concepts or ideas, and we keep on using those patterns. We create patterns, use them, and if the solution is not found, we try to be creative by breaking into the routine. But if we do not pause, in order to be out of the box, you have to stop. Suppose by moving ahead you do not find any road, you have to go backward, but before you go backward, you have to stop and then you can go backward. While moving ahead, you cannot go backward, you have to stop. So, in similar way, we have to pause when there are no holds up or breaks or obstacle occurs. Even then we have to stop. For example, some things are going on smoothly, not that you have a problem, but even then it is a good exercise in order to be creative, to pause even though there are no problems, pause and look around yourself. That way we are looking around ourselves for its own cause, just to get inspired from the nature, just to get the various ideas which may be useful in our future. And we can pause and say that let us see if there are any new ideas here. So, this is the concept of creative pause. We can pause for motivation in order to be creative. We can pause to notice something for no specific reason. We can ask ourselves, can we do things in a different manner? Are there any alternatives to do it? We can ask ourselves whether this thing inspires us or it reminds me of something. Those reminding may give rise to certain creative ideas. Pause is a proactive idea. That means nothing has happened, you are not reactive, you are proactive, you are thinking about certain eventualities which may come in future and you are getting prepared for those eventualities. So, that way pause is a proactive idea. In summary, we have seen that there are differences between design and analysis. The differences are similar to that of science and technology, to find solution and to analyze solutions. We have seen the various areas of creativity. We have seen how the 6 hats mechanism works, and we have also seen what is the meaning of creative pause, why it is important to have the creative pause. In the next session, we are going to learn about 2 more techniques which are called as the focus and challenge. Till then, goodbye.